Greetings, this is This, and I am me, and pay no mind to the K-pop calendar in the corner. This video is not about that. But anyway, this right here is, I know, it looks pretty rough around the edges, literally and figuratively. This is one of the first clothing creations I made. This is what we're going to start off our journey with today. So, I have made some clothing items with varying degrees of success, and I've always wanted to do maybe some sort of like sewing type video or something, but then I realized I don't actually know how to sew. It would be like if someone that knows how to operate a car but knows absolutely no rules of the road was trying to teach someone how to drive on the road. That's what it would be like if I was trying to like make a sewing video. Like, sure, I know how to like put the thread and the fabric together to hold something together, but I don't know any of the actual rules of sewing. I don't know any of the stitches. I don't know any of the things you're supposed to do or anything like that. So I was like, well, I can't make a sewing video because I don't know how to sew. And you know, I like my how-to videos to be specific. So I thought I would just show off some of the creations that I've made in the past. And so here's the first one. I made it out of an old pair of jeans, as you can probably tell. And from the front, it looks pretty simple and boring, right? Well, I'm going to turn it around in a second, but I just have to put the camera down first because I have to fix the pillowcase that is on the top here. As you can see, this is like dark green color. And it was really hard to see the, like, clothing on top of the dark green. So I've just covered it with a pillowcase, but I had already put the shirt on here, and I was like, I don't want to take it all the way off. So I'll fix it better for the other ones. But for now, this is what we're working with, so that you can see the shirt better. As you can see, very poorly constructed. There is some green paint on here. That will make a resurgence later, so don't forget about the green paint. I wanted it to look really, like, rough and stuff, but then you randomly have, it's hard to see in this lighting, you randomly have, these are navy blue ribbons there. You can see the ribbonness right there. Navy blue ribbons. I don't know. I don't know, guys. Okay, once again, I'll fix the pillowcase hopefully nicer for the other things that I put on. I'll put the pillowcase on this all the way. But here's the back. And so here's the detailing that I did. I know I didn't tie it very nicely, but I had to untie it to put it on the mannequin, and then I had to retie it, and I was like, oh, this is a hassle. But see these rivets here? I installed those myself. Yeah. And basically, so a little backstory on how I design the clothes that I've designed here today. I basically just take something old or something that somebody else was giving away, and I cut it up and I find a new way to put it back together, and then I just work with what I have. So I needed a way to fasten this shirt closed, and it had zero stretch to it, so like I couldn't just sew it closed, and we had rivets and ribbon. So that's what I used. I had never done anything like that before. Well, I had never done much of anything because, like I said, this was like one of the first things I made. As a child, I would always just get random pieces of fabric and like wrap them in certain ways to try to make different things, but I never actually like kept anything sewed together in like a, you know, permanent way. But I always liked to do that. And so, as you can see here with these bottoms of jeans, that was my initial, like, the initial thing that I did was just sort of wrapped it how I thought it would look nice, and then I had to figure out how would this be a wearable item. And so that's where all the ribbon came into play. But this was my first thing. It is denim. You'll see that trend continue. I wore this a couple of times, but not very much, which will once again be a trend with the items. Let's move on to the next one. I tried to put this on the mannequin, but it was far too much of a hassle, so I just pinned it. But this next piece if the fabric looks familiar, that's because it is. Like I said, the top was made out of jeans. This is the top part of those jeans. So the bottom part cut off, used to make a shirt. The top part used to make a skirt. And as you can see, there's much more green paint here, which I tried. You can see right here, I tried to add other paint. The green paint was from painting a room, like it's room paint, and so it stayed on the pants. But the pink paint was a different kind of paint, and I wanted there to be paint on the skirt, but it washed off, and I just never tried anything else with it. But these were like my favorite pair of jeans ever. They have this cool skull button on them, and I just really loved them. And then I guess I don't know, I wasn't wearing them anymore, and so I cut them up and started to, make them into other things. So the distressing also here and here, I added myself. And I mean, I guess obviously the frayed bottom, I added myself too. And then I had to do the sewing also, obviously. This isn't just, you can't just cut off the legs and then you have a skirt. I had to sew that portion. But also, I forgot to mention that all of these early projects that I have, I did not have this mannequin here. So I was only measuring things by trying them on. And I didn't have a sewing machine. Like, I was just doing all of this sewing by hand for all of these things. Just to note. So this is the skirt that I made, and I think I wore it once. Now we're moving on to the first non-denim piece that I made. I don't know if you can tell, but this was a curtain. It's probably pretty obvious, but there was this little ruffly bit on the curtain, so I worked with that. I did not do that myself. And then the rest I just cut and sewed together by hand, which was very difficult. Lace is surprisingly difficult to sew because there's like nothing there. So you're like, what do I sew this to? What do I sew everything to? So it was difficult. Here's the little sleeve, and then here's the back. It looks like that. And I wore this a few times, but then I was kind of like, it's not really my style though, and I don't really think it looks that good on me. So that's, kind of something that would happen, because I would make stuff that I thought looked good, but then I would realize, oh, well, I made this for me, like it fits me, but I don't actually really like want to wear it. So yeah. That was this, and this lace also has no stretch to it at all. So that was another thing to work with. That's this top. Okay, here's the next piece, which, yes, is laying on the floor on a very wrinkly sheet. But there was no way I could get it on the mannequin. But I still wanted to show it to you for a couple of reasons. So I've never actually worn this. This didn't used to look like this. This is one of the pieces that ended up going through several iterations. And yes, I know it's wrinkly. But so yeah, it was never going to fit over the mannequin because this portion down here was too narrow. But wow, it looks absolutely wretched on. Like, it doesn't fit properly at all in the front. But here's an example. I know it's so dark down here, but here's an example of what I mean by not doing anything properly or knowing how to do anything. As you can see here, none of the edges on anything are really finished or done properly. If you look on the inside here, that looks like trash. If you look on the outside, it looks like trash too. But so like I said, I had a lot of denim to work with. Because I would just, be getting random pieces of clothing that I was working with. I didn't procure my fabric. So a lot of the times I would make something and then it would turn into something completely different along the way, or I would make it into one thing and then I would realize, this is bad, and change it again. So like I said, this used to be different. This used to be much more of like a vest shape, like a sweater vest, not like an open vest. it was like a tank / sweater vest shape. But now it has sort of like halter type top in the front, and then if we flip it over into the back, ooh, it's got a cool hot pink zipper that was installed poorly in the back, because, like, you know, with the other things, it's denim, so you have to figure out a way to be able to actually get it on. And then in the back here, there's like 2 straps going down that way. So I thought it was a cool design, but it was very, very poorly executed, and I never actually got it to fit properly. And sometimes I would just think it was too much of a hassle to keep retrying and re-sewing. So at this point, though, I did have a sewing machine. It's just that I wasn't very good at using it. So yeah, there's a mixture of hand sewn things and sewing machine sewn things, but then also a whole bunch of edges unfinished, because I would either not know if that was the way I wanted to keep it yet, and I might need to undo it and redo it, so I didn't want to like finish the edges off or cut too much fabric off, or I was just lazy and I was like, I'm never going to wear it anyway, and that sort of thing. So that's a good example. Like, this piece is just a really good example of why I say I don't really know what I'm doing or know how to sew. I like, you know, I liked the concept of figuring out how to put the denim, it's like, to make it into a usable clothing item. It's just that if I had done a better job. But, like, isn't this cool with, like, the light here and then the dark here? Like, I think I did a really nice job with that aspect. The rest, not so much. This right here is actually my most worn thing that I've ever made. It's another denim skirt, but I call this one a denim tube because it doesn't really have the same cut as a normal denim mini skirt would have. It's a little bit longer, and it's very, very stretchy. This came about, is this all hand sewn? This is all hand sewn at the bottom here. This came about because I was just going to get rid of these jeans, and then I realized that they were by the same company, or the same brand, as another denim tube that I had, and they were the same material. So I thought, I bet I could make another denim tube in this darker color out of these pants, because they're like made of the same exact stuff. So I did, and as you can see, the back of this is all hand sewn also, but I will actually wear this, because from far away and everything, this looks perfectly fine. It just looks like a normal skirt. You might see the bottoms of these pants a little later on. Here is the next piece, which I know everything is super wrinkled, but I wasn't going to iron everything just to show it to you guys. Like, excuse me, do I have all the time in the world? But so this shirt was, like, a lot of the times when people would be giving something away or, you know, getting rid of something, I would look and I would say, does it have any sort of interesting, you know, qualities to it that I might be able to work with? And so this shirt had this braided thing on it already. I think it was maybe, was it around the neck somehow, or was it around the bottom? No, it couldn't have been around the bottom, because the bottom looks like it was sewn properly by an actual machine that works properly. Okay, so it must have been around the neck somehow, but I have cut the shirt, like, all along here. This is all cut and sewn, hand sewn, and the braiding was removed, not from this front portion. This was all here already, I think, but I removed it from whatever it was attached to here. Like, this had sleeves, I think, short sleeves. And so that's all been cut off, and the braiding was removed around that part so that I could do this. Looks a little crookedy from the back, but honestly, it looks a little crookedy no matter what. But so I have it wrapping around and down like that. And with this one, once again, you have to figure out a way to take it on and off. So I have this little hook here so that you could do that. I think I wore this a total of 1 time. Like, I would make things and I would be like, oh, you know, I can't do that with one hand, so I'm just gonna leave it like that. I would be like, oh, you know, I'm really, like, proud of how this turned out. And like, I accomplished what I wanted to, you know? I made a completed thing. And so then I would wear them because I'd be like, yeah, you know, I did it. This is great. But then, like, when it came to be the next time I'd possibly wear it, you know, like I'm looking at it in the choices and I'm thinking, this looks not good. This looks very clearly poorly constructed. And so therefore, I'm not going to keep wearing it. That's like what would happen a lot of the time. And so while this does look really good from the front, I think, from the back, it does look crookedy pretty much no matter what. So I only wore it like once, but I think it's cool. It is so much easier to dress a real person than it is to dress a mannequin. Well, I guess I shouldn't even call this, I keep calling it a mannequin, but it's not actually a mannequin, it's a dress form. And it's an adjustable dress form, so it's very like wibbly wobbly, like the shoulders aren't connected. There's like a split right here so that they can be expanded or contracted. And so they like collapse in on themselves if you're trying to squeeze something around them, which just makes everything very difficult. And so I know this is a little bit crookedy on here, but this is a lot of denim, am I right? So I thought, you know what? I'm going to use 2 pairs of flared pants and I'm going to make a dress. And I mean, I did make a dress. It's just that it doesn't look good on. This right here, as you can see, it's very, you know, like that. So while these seams are beautiful, and I think I did a really good job, and I think the color, you know, thing that I did is really nice, this is what made it not wearable. And I had done so much sewing and construction up until this point that I didn't have the heart to undo it and to try to remake it look this nice again, but with somehow fixing this. So I never fixed it and therefore never wore it. But, and it's also very bulky, but I did install a zipper on the side once again to get in and out of it. The shoulders don't look too bad. I made little cap sleeves. I really wanted that, like it was a goal to have it, for it to have cap sleeves. Here's the back. Once again, a little crookedy, but I think that's just kind of the way I put it on the mannequin. And then right here, very bulky also, because there's a lot of extra fabric. Oh, look, I actually finished this off nicely right here. Other spots, not so much, like right there, for instance. Sorry, I know it's very shadowy. But yeah, so this is the denim dress that I made. And once again, never wore. I know it sounds like I was just like I just gave up on literally everything. But you don't understand how unbelievably long it took me to get to this point. So, what I have here, even though I never wore it and it wasn't perfect, I do consider this a success. I don't consider this something that I gave up on. I think I did a fairly decent job at what I wanted to do, just because I never ended up wearing it. You know, whatever. This is made out of pant legs, okay? Pant legs. Okay, here we have an example of something that I think actually looks really nice on the mannequin. The problem was just that it looked pretty wretched on an actual person that was moving and stuff, because this is all extremely flimsy and weak, and so it doesn't really keep its nice, perfect shape just when it's like on. But this was just a shirt that I cut up and changed to be a different shirt. It had ties, like it had a tie that went around the back. So that's where this stuff comes from. And then if we look at the back, it had lace on the back that I've repurposed into a different shape, and then also put this weird little triangle tail of it back here that, if it was perfectly done, would look nice, but is a little bit crooked. So that's the back. So that one looks pretty nice, but because it's such a thin material, it didn't really have the structure that it needed to stay looking nice. I maybe wore this? I can't remember if I actually wore it or if I put it on and then I ended up taking it off and changing it to something else. I don't remember. Okay, this next one, kind of looks really weirdly shaped on this mannequin. I mean dress form. But, so this was actually a sort of like workout V-neck t-shirt. This is, fine, I'll untie it. This is the back of the shirt because the front was V-neck. And so this whole, like this was actually almost no sewing for this top. So as you can see, this is just the actual collar piece. And it goes longer in the back because it V-necked down. I added these bedazzles because I thought you could maybe kind of see that there was a tag back here, like printed on. So I tried to distract with some little bedazzles. And then it had like sewing along this line just as like detailing. So I literally just cut right next to it. I didn't do any extra sewing there. I just cut right next to it to cut the sleeves of the t-shirt off. And then, yeah, so if this was untied in the back, it would be more of like a V-neck. Like that. And I just cut all around the edge of this and made this be a tie here. And then I know it's very wrinkly, but I cut the back to, you know, go across and then just added some elastic. And that's literally it. It looks pretty good. Look, even my lines for this actual sewing, I did 2 lines. I think it looks really nice. The problem with this was that it was just kind of a little bit too big for me. I don't know, maybe I should have taken some out from the sides or something, because it was just a little bit baggy looking, and so it didn't look the nicest. I did wear it a couple times, I think, because I did a really nice job constructing it, but, you know, it's like I had better things to wear, so I'm not just going to wear the crap that I made just because I made it. So I got a couple wears out of it, but next up I have sort of a crop top that was extremely poorly constructed. This is supposed to be like a sweetheart neckline. It looks hideous, but I just wanted to show this one because the fun thing about this is that this bottom portion is leggings. So this is the waistband of the leggings, and yeah. I had some like an old piece of like mesh fabric so it has some holes in it, which also doesn't look very nice. But then there's the back. I know this is just the chunk of the mannequin. Sorry, I mean dress form. So it's just squeezing around it weirdly. But yes, it's meant to have this little bloop dip right there. But I mean, it just, once again, the mesh, just like the lace, is extremely difficult to sew on. So I never got it to look that nice, but it was a nice idea with the leggings, I think. So that's that. Okay, this is the last thing I have to show you. It's actually been about a week now since the last clip you guys saw. My nails are more chipped now than they were before, because this was the most recent thing that I had worked on. Like, this was the most recent thing I had to show you guys, but still from a very long time ago. But it turns out that it wasn't ever actually worked on very much at all. It was just basically a concept of these sleeves and then the rest of this jacket. And they were sewn together just very quickly, and the rest hadn't really panned out to anything. And so I thought, you know what? I'll try and sort of finish this piece before I show it to you guys. So it took like about probably 3 days I was working on it, to figure out what I wanted to do and then to do it. So the original concept was there was this cropped jacket, right? And it had these short, puffy sleeves on it. And it just was absolutely, you know, definitely not a current style, but also not a style that I really liked at all. And it had this picture on the front. It says, "Love will triumph" on it. And it's a heart and wings and everything. But I liked the cool plaid hood. And I thought maybe I could do something with it. you know, way back when. Cropped things were just starting to come back in style, but you were supposed to wear like cropped jackets with cropped shirts and high-waisted pants, rather than when this is so old that when this was around, it was the style of like cropped jacket with super long tank and then like, you know, boot cut jeans sort of vibe. But so I thought I just need to get rid of the sleeves on this cropped jacket and it could maybe be nice. So I got rid of the sleeves, and then these, I told you guys, would make a reappearance. All this ruching here, I did not do myself. These are the legs of this skirt. Remember this skirt from earlier, the denim tube? So, you know, that's a cute outfit. Wear those two things together. Those are the legs. The legs of the pants are right here. They had this cool ruching on them, so I thought, well, I got to keep those, see if I can ever do something with those one day. And they were the perfect length for sleeves, it turns out. They weren't, however, the perfect width for sleeves. So I'm trying to show this to you guys, but it's kind of confusing, I feel like, for you to see without like an arm here. But, so yeah, I lined up the seam on the bottom, and then I sewed up the two sides as far as they would go, but they wouldn't go the rest of the way. So I just split this open, and you have sort of like a dance mom's shoulder here. That's what we call it around here, dance mom's shoulder, because if you've ever seen the show Dance Moms, they like literally wore shirts that had the little shoulder cut out like 100% of the time. So, that's the sleeves. It looks pretty cool on and pretty normal. I know it looks kind of like, you know, all scrunchety and weird, but trust me guys, it looks nice. And then there was a couple other things that I didn't like about it and that I wanted to change. One being this stupid picture on the front. I didn't really like it. So I thought I'm going to cover it up and sort of distort it in a really like cool and weird sort of way. There was these leopard print lace pieces that I roughly sewed on. I wanted it to look very like, you know, well, rough. And so there's another piece down there, and one second. Those pieces of lace came from this. Well, the other one of these. This is a sleeve. As you can see, it would, you know, go like that. And it has this lace on it that's already sort of cut into this shape that's not a perfect rectangle. So there was another sleeve, and I took two pieces from that to add the lace on here and here. And then I had some, you remember the mesh top that I did? I had some mesh that was just randomly cut into these shapes that was like scraps, and so I literally just left it cut in those shapes and sewed it onto the sides. Don't worry, this is sewn smoothly. Also with like rough stitching around the edges, because I wanted it to have that sort of look. And then I also put stitching around the pockets in like an X pattern. I added that, and so then that was what I did to distort the front. I think it's a good amount of distortion. And then lastly, you have the sides. So it was still, when I was done doing all that, it was still very fitted, and I didn't like how fitted it was. It just tapered right in on the sides and was like very, you know, like I've said a million times now, fitted, and I wanted it to have a more relaxed look. So I actually just literally cut open the side here, and then I had some belt loops from like some gray black shorts that I had salvaged for parts at one point in time. And so I put that here to connect the pieces. I added some stitching on the sides, and so there's a little opening on both sides. This side, actually, I didn't finish sewing yet, but I wanted to, see, this is not done being sewn down, and the edging isn't, you know, done right here. But I wanted to film this while there was still a little bit of sunlight so that we could have, you know, brighter conditions to film in. So I'm sorry that it's not completely done yet. But this is something that I can actually wear. Like, I like it and everything. It's just that I don't really have anything to wear with it at the time being, but I'll get something to wear with it, and it'll look really cool. I actually really like this. It's still rough around the edges, but that's the way I wanted it to be. I think it's cool. So that's all, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye now.